D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick here on 102.5 The Game. I am not, obviously I'm not D-Mace. He's sitting right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
I am not Willie Donick. I am not Adam Vingen. They both took personal days. So out of the bullpen I come. We're in the bottom of the ninth. They need a closer.
Hey,
I'm Connor Nude.
You're pulling a Hal.
Yeah.
And, they had to bring the third member up to the box to sort of level things out because Willie was playing hurt.
Yeah.
And Hal did a great job. I didn't think he wouldn't do a great job, but he did
Someone's
a great job.
got to get us to the
exactly.
finish line.
And
so
now you step in, Connor, and I know you're going to do a great job.
So here I am. Yeah, we got a great show today. The Foo Fighters are here. I'm just kidding. I'm doing a Saturday Night Live thing. Chad Withrow going to join us at 3:40. We'll take it to the bank at the end of the show. A lot of football to talk about today between the Titans, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, you name it. We're going to hammer a lot of football talk today. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game National Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. And before we get into sports talk, D-Mace, I think I'm getting kind of sad because it's about to start getting really dark here in about an hour and a half. Storms are coming in, so stay safe, of course, but it's about to get kind of gloomy here at the studio.
I am not a big fan of this whole time change. And listen, it will get dark earlier anyway, regardless if you slap the time on it or not, if you changed it or not. But it gets dark too early.
Yes.
In a minute, it's going to get dark at like 4 o'clock,
right?
4:30.
Right. I took a nap the other day after I got home from doing something. I passed out at like 1:30. I woke up at like 4 and it was dark out. I was like, what time is it? So that's just my gripe of the day. Let's get into the football conversation. Obviously, the Tennessee Titans are not in action this week. Can't lose on a bye week, thankfully.
I think some people are like, good Lord, thank God.
I am one of those included. I am. Unfortunately, the Titans are an appointment watch for me. A, because that's my team, and B, because I like to keep up with what you guys are talking about. So I know. Unfortunately, or fortunately, if you are one of those people, they do not play this weekend as they are on the bye week. But I'm interested in the conversation, and I'm interested to get your perspective on this too, D-Mace, as you've experienced playing on a bye week, maybe on an opposite end of the spectrum as you're riding momentum. But if it is a bye week, as bad as this team is, how important do you think that bye week is for the team? Maybe to just regroup mentally, maybe get some game plan stuff going. Obviously, there's not a lot to play for at this point of the season, but there's still a few. You want to see Cam Ward show some growth. You want to see what kind of coaching you can get out of Mike McCoy. Can he bring the best out of some of these young key pieces? I'm curious on your opinion on this, D-Mace. How important do you think a bye week is for the Titans, as bad as they are?
I think it's very important because the players are leaving. That's mandated by the new collective bargaining agreement, but that doesn't mean the coaches are leaving.
Right.
The players got an opportunity, and some players may take full advantage of it because some players need it. Rest, some rehab, and sort of kind of get away from the mental grind of a very long season. Because when they come back, it's like they still got 8 games left, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So it's still going to be a long season after that. So players, I don't know when they get off. I don't know if they get the full week or 4 days, something like that, because things have changed. But typically, as you work a few days and then you kind of get away from sports, period, you kind of disconnect. Because even though you're a bad team, you still got to disconnect because there's been so much going on. And it's been, especially those rookies, they just need to decompress. They need to go home, spend time with their family, kind of away from football. And sort of regroup, calibrate, what you're thinking. And when you come back, you're ready to go. You're ready to make that push. Veteran guys know about that.
Right.
It's the younger guys, Cam, because I'm sure Cam wants to be in the film room right now.
He is the number one guy on my mind right now.
He wants to be there. And I'm not saying for him, like, just totally throw away everything, like just put everything behind. What I'm saying is that because I don't think he's taken time out just to relax. Because I think for him, it's been go, learn. And when only time I'm not learning is when I'm asleep. And then he's still probably dreaming about the play.
Then I got to get up at 4 a.m. and get to the weight room. Yeah.
So Cam I think more than anyone, needs to really take some time. I'm not saying completely get away from it because you're the quarterback and you're not, but make sure he takes the adequate time away, mentally away from the game, concentrate, be with his family, recalibrate, and then come back ready to go. So just because you're a bad team doesn't mean you don't deserve or don't need the time off mentally.
Right.
I think the coaches, from that respect, they're going to be here. Now, I don't know what their schedule is like as far as when they leave, but from my experience, a lot of these coaches stay around because it's really for the players. It's
Right.
not necessarily for the coaches, even though
they're planning for next week.
Even though some coaches are, they may take a little bit more time out at home. But as far as leaving, no, they're not doing it.
Right.
They aren't here self-evaluating. They are here trying to pick up their own tendencies. They're in here game planning for the next opponent. But more than anything, we must sit back and sort of critique ourselves.
Yeah.
Because moving forward, if we don't, then we're liable to repeat those same things over and over again during the season. So the rest of the season. So for them, it's, what did we have trouble in? What did we do well? What did we do well? Try to fix those. What does Cam do well from an offensive standpoint? Trying to get more of those things. Trying to figure out how to get DK more involved in the offense. You got a whole week now. Now you can find out. DK, how do we get him when these other guys? So there are a lot of things that the coaches have to do, and they will do. But for the players, it's like, as much as you possibly can, get away from it. Even rookies, I would tell them, because they don't know no better. They want to go. Take this time out and just relax, man. It's a long season. That football ain't going nowhere. The only person that can't really 100% take a relax is Cam.
Right.
But everybody just relax, man. Everybody else just relax.
I ask you this because Cam Ward is the number one person on my mind right now when I ask you this. I think it's what you're saying. Cam Ward is the leader of this team. He's the quarterback. He's a lot falls on him with that responsibility. The other thing I think plays a factor into this is throughout his collegiate career, Cam Ward, I don't think has experienced losing this much. I mean, go throughout his career path. Incarnate Word, he won because he was the leader of that team. Washington State, they were consistently ranked on a weekly basis throughout his tenure there. And then he transfers over to Miami, and they are in the hunt for an ACC title and a playoff spot. Obviously, none of that came to fruition, but the point stands. He has not lost this much. The Titans have only won one game. So I think my advice for Cam Ward would be similar to what you're saying. Try to get away from football as much as possible, but don't let it linger throughout the break. Don't take this woe is me mentality into your week. Obviously, look to better yourself and such, but don't take this mentality that I am the reason for this throughout a bye week, because that carries over to your next game. And you got a whole week to get ready for that.
Yeah, you do. You're right when it comes to Cam. And typically guys that are drafted number one overall, they haven't experienced much loss in their career, whether it be high school or college, because you are the best player in the draft. And typically, if you're the best player, you're making your team better.
You're the number one pick.
Exactly. And you're a number one pick for a reason. Now, there have been some number one picks where their team wasn't, great. You look at Jared Goff, his team wasn't great, I don't believe, when he played at Cal. But a lot of the wins were because of him and what he was able to do. And that goes for all of the first round picks. But what I would say is, don't get used to losing, but figure out a way to not let it happen again.
Right.
Learn from that loss. And because, listen, you're going to lose games in this league.
Yeah.
Some teams more than others, and you don't want to get used to that losing feeling. But you also got to understand that in losing, there are lessons being taught. How do you finish a game? How do you finish games? How do you go into halftime? How do you operate a 2-minute? Stuff like that, sometimes you don't get necessarily, especially when you're moving up to the next level. You didn't get that so much in college because you won all the time.
Right.
A lot of times you won. So you didn't have to get used. That wasn't a part of you. But now, because you're on a bad team, now these things are happening. What you got to learn now for young guys, it's how do I make sure this doesn't happen again? How do I learn from that loss? Because losses are going to happen, whether you are the Kansas City Chiefs or you're the Tennessee Titans. Now, Kansas City ain't losing much,
Yeah.
but still, they lose. But what makes them a good team or a great team? They figure out how to not do those same things that caused them to lose. They don't do it in the next game.
Yeah.
Or they capitalize on situations and opportunities that they did in the previous game. The Titans hadn't figured that out yet.
Right.
And
it's because of the youth.
Exactly. A lot of youth on their team.
And the inexperience.
A lot of guys that are frankly not playing because they're hurt.
Yeah.
But it's been a slow sort of dissolvement of this roster. And what has happened, and we've talked about this plenty of times, but what has happened is now this roster is so young, so inexperienced, and lacks depth that they are trying to figure out how to win. And then the guys that you are depending on, the older guys outside of Jeffrey, they're not playing too well.
Right.
You know, or outside of Skoronski too. But those other guys aren't playing the way that you thought they would play. When you are a bad team, what makes you worse is that your players that you're counting on, that handful of players that you're counting on, those guys are not playing well either. That's what makes it even worse.
I think that's kind of where I compare this to your career, D-Mace, when you were here. Obviously, there's always been a comparison since Cam Ward has been drafted here. Oh, he's the next McNair. Here's what the difference between Steve McNair and Cam Ward is right now. Steve had you and Frank and Kevin and Eddie and all of these guys to rely on that were proven guys that could establish the mentality that we're going to go out and we're going to deliver. Cam Ward, I don't think has that right now. And look, Chimere Dike is coming on some level. I don't think he's an all-pro receiver just yet, but other than that, I mean, Calvin Ridley hasn't really delivered this season. You haven't had Van Jefferson has not been in the fold. Tony Pollard, I think, is on the downward slope of his career. Tajay Spears, I guess, has been fine, but it's a lack of that competitive drive, I think, that flows throughout this team. And I think that's part of the reason we're having this discussion right now, D-Mace, is that I think you're out of it. You're not going to compete for anything this year, but I think you need to go into this bye week and discover yourself and say, what are we playing for? If I'm Cam Ward, I'm thinking about, okay, what am I playing for this season? How can I become a first round or a first overall worthy quarterback for this franchise? And he's had his moments, obviously, and I think he's delivered on some level, but he's got to figure out a way to get this team sort of under wraps, if that makes sense.
No, he's learning how to play the NFL game while having not a good team. And listen, he's no different than, in a sense, he's no different from any other first pick overall quarterbacks in the NFL. Each one of those teams more than likely went to teams that were not good the previous year. Now, it varies because some teams probably were not good because of injury. And they do have the necessity. That happened to us. I think it was 2004, somewhere around there. It happened twice, where it wasn't that we didn't have the talent. We just didn't have the players because they were hurt, you know. So that causes you to at times have a higher pick. But with Cam, you are the number one pick and you're on a bad team. So that right there puts you behind the 8-ball.
Right.
And now the progression or the development that they want to see, it's not moving as fast as a lot of people out there want it to be. Like everybody, I'm not going to say everybody, a lot of the fan base want this to be Jaden Daniels, want this
CJ
to be CJ Stroud.
It's unrealistic.
And that is true. That's why it only happens every so often.
Yeah.
You know, or even Bo Nix.
Yeah.
He had a really good defense.
Right.
And if you watch Bo Nix, a lot of his stuff is checkdowns. A lot of it is short passes.
It is. I'm watching that game last night. That's
Its
exactly what it
completion
was.
rate goes up because of that. So people look at, oh, he's completing 7. Well, no, if you watch the game, you understand what they're doing. And they're doing a smart thing.
Yeah.
They are doing a smart thing. They are leaning on their defense because they know they got a number one defense, and they're not putting the quarterbacks in harm's way. Well, on the flip side, it's the same thing. And I want to make this comparison right quick before we go to break.
Mhm.
Now that I said that, Steve McNair and Joe Flacco, because I played with Joe his rookie
that's
year,
another one.
and I played with Steve, obviously, his first couple of years in the NFL. So he was still learning. But the one thing those guys and those teams could do was rely on their defense.
Yep.
So we didn't have to score 25, 27. Hell, we didn't have to score 21 points.
Right.
We didn't have to score 20. We just had to score 17 points because those defenses were giving up about 15 points a game. You're talking about historic defenses now.
Yeah.
They end up giving up less than 20 points a game. So we didn't have to score that much. So you can bring a guy like that when your defense is that dominant. You can bring a Joe Flacco on slowly. You got a really good run game. You got some guys that you could depend on offense. Steve was the same way. You got a really good run game. You got a guy you could depend on in Frank Wycheck. And then as he was able to develop, we all were able to develop here. And then once things changed and Steve sort of took hold of that offense, we all started to flourish. Why? Because we all sort of developed together. Joe Flacco was the same way. So Cam, they want that to be Cam, but unfortunately, Cam doesn't have anything to lean on.
Yeah.
The team doesn't. They don't have a defense to lean on like I did.
Right.
Or like some of these other, like CJ Stroud did.
Yeah.
He had a defense to lean on.
Yeah. And you had that in both places.
Exactly. He doesn't. So it makes it even harder because now it's, well, we can't just bring them along slow, score 13, 14 points, maybe win 7, 8 games because of that. No, we got to score 25 points, 24 points.
Right.
And that's not realistic with a young team like the Titans.
Speaking of the Titans defense, a little bit of breaking news to give you. This comes from Adam Schefter about 3 minutes ago. The Titans have parted ways with veteran safety Quandre Diggs 2 days after being awarded safety Jarek Reed II off of waivers. He was claimed from Seattle. So Cam Ward's cousin no longer a part of the Tennessee Titans.
But this is what happens with a young team, a team that's, a young bad team. You see a lot of moves being made like this.
I mean, we saw it with Tyler Lockett.
Exactly, yeah. So these veteran guys are, unfortunately, they are going to be casualties of this NFL war in a sense.
Right.
Is that we're trying to get younger. You veteran guys are not producing the way we thought you were. So we got to, especially if you're not a starter, it makes it a little bit easier for them to do that.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, Quandre Diggs was not playing a super pivotal part of the defense either. He was kind of rotating in with Xavier Woods on that end. So not a completely surprising move to me. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. If you want to weigh in the conversation, we'll continue this conversation coming up next. Plus, also, I have a question for D-Mace. If Jerry Jones were to call up the Tennessee Titans at the trade deadline and offer you the same package he offered the New York Jets for Quinnen Williams for Jeffrey Simmons, would you take it? We'll get to that coming up next right here on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason in with you on 102.5 The Game.
Hey, Derek Mason here. You heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a goal to shed some extra pounds only to face disappointment. But at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain. With tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more, they will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
Did you talk to Dallas about Jeff, considering what Dallas gave up for Williams?
I'm not going to get into who we talked. We talked to 31 other teams for the past 3 weeks. So I will not get into any particulars of any moves that we did not make. But I will say with Jeff, just because you asked about Jeff, and I'm not going to talk about any other players here. Jeff is invaluable to us right now, to where we want to go.
There you go. That was Mike Borgonzi Wednesday addressing the media after the trade deadline. Of course, the Titans did not move off of Jeffrey Simmons. Like, there was a little bit of speculation that would happen quickly. Let me tell you that the MTSU Blue Raiders will take on FIU tomorrow at 2 p.m. Catch all of the action on Totally Hits 93.3 with coverage also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. Welcome back in DVD here on 102.5 The Game. Adam Vingan, Willie Donick out. So out of the bullpen I come. Connor Newton, Derek Mason here with you. And Derek, I apologize if you guys have kind of already discussed this throughout the week.
Go ahead.
Not to beat a dead horse, but I have been infatuated with the conversation all week. Based on what the Dallas Cowboys did, they offered and acquired Quinnen Williams, a defensive tackle, similar position to what Jeffrey Simmons plays. They acquired him for a first next year, a second this year, and an additional player. I think that is Mazi Smith, who is a defensive tackle. I am curious, based on that clip we just heard from Mike Borgonzi, based on the narrative surrounding Jeffrey Simmons and how well he's played this year, if Jerry Jones did in fact call the Tennessee Titans and ask, hey, what's Jeffrey Simmons' story? And I'm also curious, if it was the same offer, would it be beneficial for the Tennessee Titans to take that offer?
If it was me, I wouldn't have took that offer.
Really?
No, because I understand why, people want Jeff to be traded, or not want him to be traded like that in a sense, but understand why Jeff's name comes up, heavy when we're talking trade talks, and Titan fans are either calling in or texting in, and they are agreeing with, Simmons being traded. I understand why, because of where this team is.
Right.
Lack of depth, lack of young talent. This is a bad roster. So I get why, if we ask that question, and we've asked it plenty of times, and I think more times than not, you get we need to trade Jeff. He's the only guy that has true value outside of Cam Ward. And they're right about that. He's the only person that has like first pick value of, first round value. I mean, but even in saying that, because they did this thing with the GMs and they sort of ranked everybody based on position. This was last year, wasn't this year. I think it was last year, this offseason. And Jeffrey was a top 5. Now he was behind Quinnen Williams, and this was prior to the season, but he was a top 5 defensive tackle based on what GMs and other scouts were saying. And they did this for all the positions. But then you get into the season and you see Jeff changes his body composition. You see that his leadership has improved greatly from what it was. And you see him being a dominant player that we saw some years ago prior to the injury. And a lot of people are saying, like, this guy is playing at a not a Pro Bowl. He's playing at an all-pro level.
Yeah. And
he is prior to the injury. So if that is indeed the case, and Quinnen Williams is not playing the way Jeffrey is right now, I'm not saying that Jeffrey's a complete better player like the numbers, because the number says that Quinnen Williams is a better player.
Yeah.
If you look at the numbers of
they're different
career,
players.
They're different players. They play the same position, but they're different players.
Right.
But right now, Jeff is playing the best. So if you're going to offer a second this year and the first next year in Mazi Smith, then I want 2 firsts.
Yeah.
I do. I want 2 first-round draft picks and that guy, because my guy's better. If you're not willing to give that, then I'm not willing to part ways with my guys. I'm not going to part way with my guy for something less than I believe he's worth.
Yeah.
I can keep him on my team, and I understand the reason why they would keep him. This team, in the minute, and we have been talking about this, but the minute he started to talk about the Jarvis Brownlee trade, out of his mouth, not mine, even though I had been saying this, even though we had been saying this, mean Willie and Adam, out of his mouth, he said, our locker room is not equipped for that. Meaning they don't have enough leadership in that locker room yet to have to deal with, a guy that he's not a bad guy, but he's just, you just gotta ring him in a little bit, grab him by the coattail a little bit. Yeah. Hey, young buck, come on.
Yeah.
You don't have enough of those leaders around. Jeff, he's one, but you don't have enough of them.
Right.
So I understand why they traded Brownlee now, even though I don't agree with it.
Right.
I don't, because I thought you even said he was a descending player. The GM said that. But that's the reason why they can't trade Jeff.
Yeah.
Because if they're going into this new iteration of the Tennessee Titans, as we sit now, Jeff will be here at least for the next 3 years, because it seems like they want to sign him back or extend his contract. So at least give him 2 to 3 years. So he's going to be here for the next 3 years. So they need him. They need Cam Ward, and they need other guys to establish that leadership that they lack. And if they get away from Jeff and we don't need Jeff. A locker room, and I said this, a locker room with a bunch of good players but no leaders, just a locker room.
Yeah.
It's like basketball, just roll the ball out.
Right.
And how many times did 5 guys come together, immense talent, but no leadership? How many times did they win? Not many.
Yeah.
Not many.
Hasn't happened much.
You guys the New Jersey, you guys Brooklyn Nets,
Yeah.
what they tried to do. They had no leadership. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
So
right.
in football, it's even more critical for you to have someone, leaders in that locker room, because there's 52 of us.
Right.
So you got to have guys that are able to command that respect in that locker room and show that leadership. Right now, the Titans don't have much of it. They have one guy. And I'm not saying Cam's not going to be that guy or some other guy's not going to be, but I know one guy, and that's Jeff. So that one guy, I am not going to cut off my nose to spite my face. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to keep them and try to work around that.
Yeah. It's interesting. TD asked me the same question earlier this week on his podcast, and this was right after the news had broken. So I was like kind of just looking on paper at the trade and thinking, yeah, I probably would have taken that deal. But now that I've had a few days to mull over it and I heard his explanation and now I hear yours, I'm kind of with you both in that I think Jeff is too big of a leadership or a leader here. That you heard in that clip, Mike Borgonzi essentially said, Jeff Simmons is a pillar here. We're going to build our locker room off of him. And even beyond that, just the level of play that he provides to this defense, you've seen it the past couple of weeks with him being out. That defense isn't the same without him on there.
No, it's not. And Jeff has proven his worth on the field. And I think he's starting to prove his worth in that locker room.
He has molded his attitude this season.
It's stuff that we don't see. I know the things that we have seen in it, the thing with Cam, and then obviously with Buck, and then fighting. Those 3 things, I get it. He's had a few personal fouls in games or 15-yarders, so I get that part. But that's just showing blips of Jeffrey. But the only way Borgonzi is going to speak that high of him, and they are going to allow that to come out of their mouth, that Jeffrey is off limits, is that he is showing them inside that building that he has become the leader of this organization right now until Cam can, and he's the face. He's the face until Cam. Listen, Cam's going to ultimately be the face, and everybody understands that and knows it. He's got to grow into it. I think you just don't thrust a guy up there. You allow him to grow into it. But right now, they tried to thrust Jeffrey into being a leader. They forced him. He just wasn't ready. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
He wasn't ready. But he's ready now, and he's showing it now.
Yeah.
And those little things that he's doing in the locker room, we don't see it. I know it because I've been in those locker rooms, but we're not going to see it.
You're
at
right.
all.
Yeah, leadership is a natural progression. I mean, some people have natural traits that they're born with. Like Cam Ward, for example, I think is one of those people that you can see the traits of him becoming a leader, but it's a natural progression to where it evolves. And look, I don't want to pick on the young kid in the room, but I don't think many people are going to take the word of a rookie over a 6-year veteran, 28-year-old defensive tackle. And that's no slight to Cam Ward, of course. But, you're right. Leadership in any sport, in any capacity, professional, college, high school, whatever, it's a progression, and you need to see it come out through your veterans. And I think Jeffrey Simmons has exhibited that this year. He's kind of changed his attitude. You can see the accountability off the field. You can see the accountability on the field. So I think for all those reasons, plus the level of play, he was just untradeable at this point.
Yeah. And again, I know why people wanted him traded. And a part of me wanted him traded. Why? Just like a part of me wanted Derrick Henry traded.
Yeah.
Or Kevin Byard. Because I saw where this team was headed.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's trying to keep this team relevant. Oh, no. But ultimately, I saw where this team was headed. And I wanted Derrick Henry to win.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted Kevin Byard to win. That's why I ship him off to Philly. That'd be great. And he ended up shipping him off to Philly.
Yeah.
I want Jeffrey Simmons to experience that when he experienced his first couple of years in the league.
Mm.
He hasn't experienced that in a while. So for that, being selfish, it's like, send him to a team that's going to win. I don't think Dallas is going to win anytime. So glad he didn't go there.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. But for that reason, I would have liked for him to be traded somewhere where he had a true opportunity, but he wasn't. So, okay, he's here. I'm glad he's here. And now you start to build the foundation around Jeff and Cam.
Yeah, they're building around their pillars. And I think
Yes.
Cam Ward, of course, is one of them, as you drafted him first overall. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously you just heard Mike Borgonzi state that Jeff Simmons is another. So I think they made the right choice.
Yeah, they did.
You know,
I think they made the right choice. But listen, only time will tell, because
right.
what I think is the right choice, somebody else may say, look at what happened if they would have got these picks. Look at the picks that the Jets have. Because a lot of this is ultimately everybody's going to be watching to see what the Jets do with their picks.
Yeah.
Everybody here in Nashville will be watching to see what the Jets do with their picks. Not that the Jets, that their picks are successful.
Yeah.
They just want to see what they do with the picks. And I guarantee you, I'm saying this right now. What is today? November the 7th, 8th, somewhere around there. I'm saying this right now. People will say the Titans could have had that guy. Look, they could have had that guy, and that guy ain't did he ain't spit a drop in the NFL. But they're gonna say, "Oh, we could have had that guy."
It happens every year, and they still do it now. I mean, look at the guy over in Detroit right now, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, you could have had
him.
Yeah, we understand.
Wanted Fitzpatrick instead.
But what people don't understand is this: would he have been the same receiver here that he is with the Detroit Lions?
Probably not.
Thank you. There's your answer.
Probably not. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to chime in on the conversation. Coming up next, we have our weekly visit with Outkick's very own Chad Withrow. We'll ask him about the Tennessee Titans and some college football questions coming up next here on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason here with you on 102.5 The Game.
Derek Mason here, and if you injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired, or better yet, replaced. Law Tigers is a resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you in an event, or they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson. You can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
DVD presented by Bax Homeworks. Bax Homeworks transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Welcome back in. Connor Newt, Derek Mason here with you on the program. Adam Vingan, Willie Donick out today, so I'm stepping in to take control of the program as we are every Friday here on the program. We are joined by Outkick's Chad Withrow to talk about the Titans and some topics going on in college football. Chad, hello.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Doing
So
pretty good.
let's get things started here. The Titans are obviously on the bye week this week, so we are not subjected to watching their horrible football just for the week. At 1-8 on the season, is there any way throughout the rest of the season that they can regain your attention?
No, none at all. There's not a single way that this team can regain my attention at this point. I mean, look, the only intrigue right now is who's going to get the number one pick between them, the Jets, and the Saints. So I guess they will get my attention when they play the Saints coming up because that could be a game for the number one seed. But, you know, the Titans aren't in the market for a quarterback. So, you know, even if they get that number one pick, will they find a team that loves a quarterback enough to trade up with them where they can get multiple picks? I mean, guys, it's just a situation where there's been so many bad picks and bad free agency pickups that have either ended in players being disappointments or injured or whatnot that, I mean, they need multiple picks. That they need so much right now. And I don't think that they're going to draft over Cam Ward, even though he's been a disappointment in year one. I don't think you can do that with a number one pick or a top pick this year. That, it's hard to get excited about right now without thinking about the future and all the different pieces that the Titans need moving forward.
Speaking of the future and pieces that the Titans need moving forward, we just had a conversation about Jeffrey Simmons and the decision not to trade him. Would you, if you were in charge and Jerry Jones picked up the phone and called you and gave you the offer he gave to the New York Jets, which was a first-round pick for next year, a second round this year, and defensive tackle Mazi Smith for Jeffrey Simmons, would you, Chad Withrow, take that offer?
In a heartbeat, I would have taken that offer. I mean, look, I think the Jets, as big of a disappointment as that franchise has been over the years and recently, they look like the smartest team going by offloading the players they did and getting the picks they did, especially with the Colts and Sauce Gardner. Look, Sauce Gardner is a good player, and the Colts could go on to win a Super Bowl this year. And, you know, we're all screaming, what was the Rams scream? F those picks. That could be what the Colts are saying after this season because they won the Super Bowl. But if they don't, the Jets, depending on who they draft, I mean, they're sitting pretty right now. So, yeah, I mean, it was a disappointment again that the Titans weren't able to get rid of some of their top talent to acquire some draft picks moving forward for next year because, again, this whole organization just needs a complete overhaul. The hope is that Cam Ward is a building block. Maybe a few of the other young guys can be building blocks, and then you completely start over. So you're not able to do that if you don't get rid of some of your talent that's a little bit older to go and acquire picks. So, yeah, I would, to answer your question, Connor, yeah, I'm taking that deal in a heartbeat.
No, Chad, I'm asking you the same question I asked Paul yesterday because I think a lot of people were thirsting for, you know, somebody other than Borgonzi to speak. And other than Brinker to speak. And Borgonzi got up there. And to me, it seems like he sort of distanced himself, not in a bad way, but distanced himself from Brinker. Like, listen, I'm the GM. These are the things that I'm doing. This is why we did what. What do you make of his presser? And do you think he separated himself a little bit from Brinker?
Look, I think that Chad Brinker does a really good job of separating himself from every possible bad decision that happens. He's really good at that. That's what I've noticed, right? Like, you know, we've all worked in different organizations and we've been around different middle managers that they're not quite the big boss, but they're a big enough boss that they can affect your day-to-day work, that are really good at separating themselves from anything negative that could happen. Right? It's always someone else's fault. It's always their responsibility. Or I'm on top of this and I just want you to know about this because this person's not doing their job. I don't know Chad Brinker personally. He's just been a part of a failing organization. And I feel like he continues to get the benefit of the doubt because he's in such a, I don't know if strange is the right word, but he's in a position that's murky enough where he can assign blame to others. I like that Mike Borgonzi is stepping up and saying, hey, this is my responsibility. This is what I do. Here's how I'm moving forward with the roster. All of that. I'm fine with all that, D-Mace. I just think, again, and I'm beating a dead horse with this, the Titans are going to be unable to move forward until they have one person in charge of the football side of that operation. Until they get one competent, strong leader in that spot, and we're not asking about Brinker and Borgonzi or Borgonzi or Brinker and all of that, they're in a tough spot. I don't think Amy Adams Strunk wants to lose. I don't think Amy Adams Strunk is in there meddling with every little decision on a day-to-day basis. I just think she's made poor decisions with who she's hired to lead the organization, and she's got too many cooks in the kitchen. That's the biggest issue right now with this team. And both these guys might be okay. Certainly I'm giving Borgonzi the benefit of the doubt because he hasn't been here that long, but you need one voice. You need one person, and you don't need something that's murky hanging over the organization. And I continue to believe that they have.
Now let's double back around on the Jeffrey Simmons none trade. And I understand and I get why you and everybody else, was because it seems like I'm one of few. And when I mean few, I'm talking about there may be some hundreds, but we're still in the minority that felt that Jeffrey Simmons didn't need to be traded. But I understand where y'all are coming from. This team is devoid of talent. They need talent. How do you get that? You draft. But when you hear your GM say, we had to trade another guy because we do not have the locker room necessarily to take on whatever it is Jarvis Landry was accused of doing, that should say to everybody, man, I know y'all wanted Jeff to go, but he's going to be key in what this next iteration of the Tennessee Titans look like. Because I think they're going to sign him back to an extension, so he's going to be here for the next 3 years.
Yeah, I think from a play standpoint, I'm totally fine with that, right? Like if you want your team to play like someone right now and the young guys to play like someone, I'm pointing to 98 and saying, go play like that guy, right? Go be a factor in games, play that physical, play with that kind of edge. Like I get all that. I never thought that Jeffrey Simmons is this natural locker room leader. And I don't know that you need a defensive tackle to be that. You need him to be a really good defensive tackle, which he is. And I do think that he is good enough in this league that he could lead by example. So I totally understand the value of why you keep that guy if you think that he is going to show the young guys how to be what you want the Tennessee Titans to be. So I completely get that. I'm looking at this from dollars and cents and all of the different needs of this team. And I don't know that a high-priced defensive tackle that has a lot of value on the open market is worth it, even if he is a good example. What you do, I think, in this situation is you trade him away. You go draft guys. If you're confident in your abilities, you go draft guys that are going to be the example setters moving forward. You're going to have a new young nucleus anyways. You can do that with the first off, the coaching hire, right? You would hope the new coach, whoever they hire, is going to be someone who's going to set a good example for the rest of the team. But, yeah, I mean, look, Jeff Simmons, I know that he does a lot in this community. I know he likes Nashville. I'm not saying he's trying to rush to get out of here. I'm not so sure that Jeffrey Simmons, though, wouldn't have liked to be a part of a team that could contend for a Super Bowl. Had he been traded, right? I mean, I think that it's good for everyone involved if they make that move. But look, I get it. Like if anybody wants to make the argument that you need that dude in your locker room, I understand where they're coming from with that. I just think the Titans need a lot more than a really good defensive tackle.
We're talking with Chad Withrow, Outkick.com. Chad, before we get you out of here, I wanted to ask you about the college football playoff rankings. One, were you surprised? Is there anything that surprised you? And then two, why does Texas get the benefit of, well, not Texas, but Notre Dame gets the benefit of losing close games, but Vanderbilt, and I get the name on the helmet, I get it, but Vanderbilt doesn't get that same sentiment when it comes to the two teams they lost too close.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, look, I understand Notre Dame, and we all know they're going to get in even with two losses, but I mean, they had two giant opportunities, right? They get Texas A&M at home. They got Miami on the road earlier in the year, and they were close games, but they lost both those games, and they haven't played anyone. They were underwhelming in a win over 1-8 Boston College this past weekend. So they didn't exactly sprint into that first college football playoff ranking. I don't get it with them. I mean, I think Vanderbilt is about where they need to be. Look, if Vandy can win out, they're going to be in the college football playoff. I believe that. Now, it's going to be tough starting tomorrow. I mean, I think Auburn, they got the talent to beat Vandy. They got the defense to beat Vandy. The question is, can they score, which they haven't been able to do that all year, but we'll see tomorrow in that game. There were no big surprises, D-Mace. I will say, like, we could sit here and argue the top three teams. I could make an argument for any one of those three to be the number one team. This is my one critique, though. I do not like when Mac Rhodes comes on afterward and says, oh, all three of those teams are great, A&M and Ohio State. But, the metrics showed us that Indiana and Ohio State have a better defense. So we put them 1 and 2. And I'm thinking, okay, well, look at their schedule. Look at the offenses A&M's played versus the offenses that Indiana and Ohio State play. Problem is, we could pick any one metric and argue for one team over another. And I hate when a committee chair comes on and says something like that, because it's very easy to nitpick that decision when they do it. Now, that being said, I got no problem with Ohio State being number one. I would have no problem with A&M or Indiana being at number one either.
Talking with Chad Withrow of Outkick. Chad, last one before we let you go here. There was a tweet put out earlier this week by one Josh Pate, basically saying that Tennessee fans had too high of expectations this year, and now sitting at 3 losses, they're living with the consequences of said expectations. I can't really buy into that narrative. I'm curious of your opinion on that.
So I think he's right, but I think the time of the expectations changed, okay? And here's what I mean by that. Like, if you would have told me coming into the season Tennessee was going to go 8-4, I would have, as a Tennessee fan, a Tennessee grad, I would have taken it, okay? You knew nothing about the quarterback. He came in after spring practice, did not get a single spring practice in. Tennessee didn't know a lot about the quarterback. The quarterback didn't even know what he was going to look like in this offense. You had all these question marks at wide receiver and offensive line and everything else. The one thing you thought you had was a really good secondary, right, with Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson. So knowing that Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson are both out for the year, and that I think expectations changed with that Georgia game, right? Tennessee had Georgia beat and looked good in that game. And from that point forward, suddenly, oh, this is a team that can make the college football playoff. So once they don't make the playoff, everyone is disappointed. So I think Josh Pate is both right and wrong. Preseason expectations, absolutely. Tennessee is 5-3 or 6-3 right now. That's about where they should be based on preseason expectation. But expectation post close Georgia loss, I think that's why fans are disappointed. Tennessee fans are also disappointed for this reason. They should have won 2 of those games. I mean, they miss a kick against Georgia.
Agreed.
They spot Oklahoma 13 points. And guys, even doing that, they could have swapped kickers before kickoff and won the game, because Oklahoma's kicker won the game, hitting 3 field goals of 50-plus yards. And Tennessee's kicker misses a 37-yarder, and it's a 6-point game in the end. So that's the disappointment, is Tennessee just can't seemingly get over the hump in those close games. But as I say that, they also won an overtime game at Mississippi State. So just buckle up. This is going to be the SEC every single year. Lots of close games, lots of opportunities for close losses.
It is indeed. He's Chad Withrow of Outkick. He joins the program every Friday. Chad, thank you so much. We'll do this again next week.
Yeah, lots of fun, guys. Have a good weekend.
You as well. Chad Withrow of Outkick joining the program. I've never done an interview with Chad. It was fun.
Yeah, Chad. I mean, I enjoy talking with Chad and Hutt, because, both of them have so much knowledge in just sports here.
Right.
But then in particular, with the Vols, with the Titans, and somewhat with Vandy, but just like, because they give a different perspective, and they understand. Just because somebody else has a different opinion, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. They're just
right.
We're just talking.
It's
that's
debate.
why that's why I like to ask Chad and Hutt questions, because I know I'm gonna get a different answer. And it's not necessarily that the answer is wrong. It's just a different answer from what I was thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll shoot you straight.
Yes.
Indeed. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. When we come back, we'll transition into more college football talk. I'm curious, based on Chad's answer there and opinions of the people in this room right now, did the Vols fans have too high of expectations coming into the season? Are they dealing with those consequences now? And is this season overall a failure? for the Tennessee Volunteers. That's all coming up next right here on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason here with you on 102.5 The Game. D. Mace, Vingen, and Donick here on 102.5 The Game. Adam Vingen, Willie Donick out today. So Derek Mason and myself, Connor New, in with you until 6 o'clock. Talking a lot of football today. We just talked Titans for the first hour of the program. Going to talk a little bit of college football for the next hour. Quickly, let me tell you that the Commodores will take on Auburn tomorrow afternoon. Pregame begins at 1:30 p.m. on 94.9 The Fan with kickoff at 3. Vanderbilt football brought to you by Gary Force Acura, Jimmy Kelly Steakhouse, and Smoky Mountain Tops. Let me also tell you, speaking of football, that this Sunday, the NFL game of the week is the Patriots versus the Buccaneers at noon on 102.5 The Game. NFL game of the week presented by Circus Sportsbook Kentucky and Macero in 12 South. There are a lot of ad reads that come with hosting.
Oh, yeah.
I am quickly learning. So let's get into the conversation here, D-Mace.
Mhm.
I asked Chad this question intentionally because I was curious of what he would say, especially as the Vols fan I know he is. But earlier this week, there was a tweet put out by one Josh Pate of CBS Sports. He is one of my favorite and the best college football insiders on the planet. He basically said that Tennessee, sitting at 3 losses, set too high of expectations for themselves this year after the whole Nico Iamaleava drama, getting in Joey Aguilar and the roster that they have this season. They set expectations too high. And now with 3 losses, they are sitting and living with the consequences of overhyping the team. I'm not so sure I necessarily agree with that, but I'm interested to hear your opinion on this, D-Mace.
Here's the thing with UT and whether expectations were set high or not. We all follow this story. You know, Nico, he's not showing up for camp, whatever. And then ultimately he leaves and takes his talent to Cali.
Mm-hmm.
And in return, they just made a trade. Aguilar for Nico.
Mm-hmm.
Swap it out. So Aguilar comes here and at that time, there was a lot of uncertainty about this team. They have a good defense coming back, they felt. So at least the defense would be able to hold their own. It was the offense. People didn't know whether Aguilar would pick up on the offense quick enough and be able to run this Josh Heupel offense the way he needed to run it. Because this offense, the last couple of years hasn't been hitting the way it needs to, or way it's capable of to. It was hitting when they had Hendon Hooker. It was hitting on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they maximized every inch of that playbook with him, and they were capable because he could run it.
Yeah.
Up tempo, everything. And
it was centered around him.
Exactly. It was centered around him. And had he not got hurt, they could have been playing in the college, and they could have went to the national championship that year.
Yeah.
Honestly, they could have, the way that offense was playing. Now I know he played bad that game before he got hurt, but I get that. But ever since then, the offense hasn't looked the same. It didn't look the same under Milton. It didn't look the same under Nico. And now we're starting to get back to where fans are like, okay, this is what the offense is supposed to look like. But here's the problem, is that I'm not letting Vol fans or anybody off the hook when it comes to this, and it could have been Vandy too. Your expectations can change. They didn't think much of UT. They didn't know, because I think we had Chad on at the beginning of the year. It was either Chad or Hutton, and we said, well, what would be a good season? 8-3, 8-4, somewhere around. I think Vol fans would have been like, okay, considering what happened, okay, I get that. 8-4, perfect, no problem. But here's what threw a little wrinkle in it. When Aguilar came out and he played the way he did, and they were scoring 30-something points, 40. No, they're scoring 40 points.
Yeah.
In the way they played against Georgia. So now the expectations are high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a disappointing season now because nothing has changed. You have these same players. They thought you were going to be a good team. But you show early on that you were one of the best teams in college football.
Right.
Especially with your offense. And now, since they've occurred, now it's like, well, we didn't think they were going to do anything anyway. We didn't think they were going to. No. I get that part. But you also thought after Aguilar came out like the next Peyton Manning or the next Hendon Hooker in this offense, y'all were like, oh, UT all the way, baby.
Yeah.
but they lost to Georgia. Then they had some other loss. Now they're sitting with 2 losses, and potentially 3. They got Florida, and obviously they got Vandy.
Yeah.
So
They got 3 losses.
Yeah, they
right
got
now.
3 losses. So
Yeah.
they can end up with 4 or 5.
Right.
So I'm not going to look at it and say, well, this is what we all kind of expected. So it is what it is. No. Yeah, I know what you expected, but what I saw was differently the first 4 or 5 games of the season.
Mm.
I'm only going off what y'all showed me because ultimately that's what matters. What, when you go out there on the field, you show me what you do. That's all that matters.
Right.
And they showed me that they were a top team. So if I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, they should make the college football playoffs. Being in the hardest conference in the world in America, they should make it. But they're not. And it is a disappointment because not a disappointment in the sense of this was a bad team and the season was just, was in the dumps from the start. This is a disappointment because of the way you started the season out, the way you played Georgia. We were thinking like, okay, even though this team's for real.
Yeah.
And they hadn't played like they fell off. So I'm going to still hold them to what I saw. And what I saw was they were a damn good team.
Mm.
And now they fell off. And some of it is because the SEC is just so tough.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to let that be an excuse when I saw how good they were, even against Georgia. So I'm not gonna, to me, it's a disappointing season. It's not one of these debilitating seasons or
right.
let's change head coaches season. No, it's not even close to that. But it is a disappointing season.
I think I wouldn't say it's a failure of a season per se, because I think Chad is right, and I think you're right in that expectations at the beginning of the season for Tennessee were a lot different than expectations after that Georgia game. That Georgia game made us think that Tennessee could easily find themselves into the college football playoff. That said, I think the season is disappointing for the fans and for the program as a whole from the perspective that I think you're learning a lot about how this team is run. I think that some changes need to be made at coordinator. I think especially on the defensive side of the ball, and Chad alluded to this earlier, the secondary has not been good. Now, part of that is because your top 2 corners have been out with injury all season. But even beyond that, they're not rushing the passer. They're not stopping the run. They can't get off the field. And I think that's partially to blame on Tim Banks. The other part, I think the offense was moving at a pace that it should have moved. Like you said, Joey Aguilar looked like an all-SEC quarterback for a few weeks there. Then the wheels just fell off for some reason.
Even in the Georgia game, he looked like
he was making great
stud.
The Joey Aguilar from the Georgia game and Joey Aguilar from the Oklahoma game are 2 completely different quarterbacks, I feel. They look completely different. The Georgia Joey Aguilar was not making these cannot complete passes that Oklahoma Joey Aguilar was making. So I don't necessarily want to pin that on Joey Halsley, who's the offensive coordinator, but I think the carriage is turning back into a pumpkin, for lack of a better term. I think the Cinderella story is coming to an end for Joey Aguilar.
Yeah, and I think what did it for me, it was the Alabama game because Alabama looked like the much better team, and I'm thinking like that can't be the case. This is not from what I saw against Georgia, and then they came back and mopped up everybody else until they got to Alabama, and it was just like kind of like Vandy. It was kind of like the Vandy game against Texas. That's what that UT Alabama game sort of felt like to me.
Yeah.
Thinking back on
dominance from the
retrospect.
jump.
Yeah. It was just like, I didn't see, this is not the same team I've seen all season. Like I'm looking at UT like this ain't the team that lost, that spotted Georgia those points and lost 44-41. This ain't the same team. And that was for Vandy, the same thing. That Vandy team that I saw against Texas ain't the team that I've seen the whole season, even against Alabama.
Yeah.
It wasn't the team that I saw against Texas. UT had that game against Alabama, and it's been sort of up and down since then. They beat Kentucky. They scored 56 against Kentucky.
They
still got 34, but then they come back and they lose to Oklahoma.
I was there for that. You don't have to remind me.
Yeah, so it's just their loss or their losses after that Georgia game were surprising.
Yeah.
More important, more specifically, the Alabama loss to me.
I think some of the disappointment comes from Vols fans looking at, hey, the team about 3 hours down the road from us in our state is arguably having a better season than we are. That's not supposed to happen. That never happens.
Well, right now, until they play, Vanderbilt's the better team.
Right.
Vanderbilt's the best team in the state until they play.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a disappointing season for UT. Again, it's not a season where Heupel's name should be on a hot seat.
No.
Or anything like that. But he's going to have to figure out a way because they got some tough games. That Florida game is going to be tough. I know Florida's not ranked, but that game
they always
at Texas, at Florida is going to be tough.
They always seem to fall short when they play on the road at Florida.
Well, they can't. Two things are true in this, and it's for two different teams. It's for one UT, but then the other UT can't lose this game. I think not necessarily for, they're going to make it to the college football playoffs or anything, but I just think for the fan base sake, you can't lose. They got to win this game. But then Vandy got to hope that UT wins this game against Florida. Hope that UT beat New Mexico State, which I think they will.
Yeah. And
that they beat Florida. So going into that match, you're not talking about a 4-loss Tennessee team. You're still talking about a 3-loss Tennessee team. And they may look at it a little bit different if UT loses. And some people don't think that's the case. Like Chad said, hey, listen, they win, they still have it still be tough, but if they win all 3, they're in no matter what.
Yeah.
And okay, I can prescribe to that thought, but I think it makes it even harder if UT goes into that game with another loss on underneath, at least judging by how the committee is doing things with Texas and Notre Dame.
I would argue it is going to be not impossible for Tennessee to get into the playoff, but improbable.
Yes.
We saw it last season. There were 3 SEC teams sitting at 9-3 that all 3 got snubbed. It was Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. All you could argue had better resumes than SMU.
Indiana. Too.
Indiana. Teams like that don't play inside the SEC. I think it's going to be improbable for Tennessee to get into the playoff. That said, I think if they win out, and like Ricky on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com says, they could go 9-3. I think there is a conversation to be had, but I think you look at the resume that they have. If they win out, their best win would be Vanderbilt. Outside of that, they don't have a ranked win. So it would be pretty improbable for Tennessee to reach the playoff at this point.
Yeah, I don't think that's – I know that, they're still possibly – you can't say you have no chance. Like you said, it's not impossible. It's probable.
Right.
Probable, but –
a lot would have to happen.
Yeah, weird things happen, and I don't think there's enough things that could happen in order for them to get in the college football playoffs. Every team, because so many of these teams play one another, or they play within the conference, so it's kind of hard for UT. But yeah, if they don't make it to the college football playoffs, which it don't seem like they will, then again, it's a disappointing season. It's a season where, even after the Georgia loss, they still had control of everything.
Yeah.
They still had control. Only thing they had to do is beat Alabama or Oklahoma. They end up losing both of them. Because even if you lose to Oklahoma and you beat Alabama, you lose to Alabama and you beat Oklahoma. Well, they got to count the 6th ranked Alabama team, even though you lost. They still counted as it was a tough team, strength of schedule. But then you would have come back and said, well, we beat number 18 Oklahoma. Right. So that would have counted against you. And then you go into potentially the Florida game or the Vanderbilt game, really the Vanderbilt game. If you beat Florida, you go into that game with both of the teams needing that victory to secure or at least make sure that it's hard for the committee to vote them out.
Right.
Right now, for UT, they're not getting voted in, no matter if they win against Vandy or Florida.
Right.
but Vandy has to win the remainder of their schedule.
Some outside interference
Yes.
would have to happen. 6769, which kids under the age of 13 are dying laughing at that number right now. It says Memphis is sitting at 8-1. Memphis is a team, I don't think you could compare them to the best team in the entire state of Tennessee. I think that belongs to Vanderbilt right now. But if I had to pick a group of 5 team to squeeze into the playoff, I think it would probably be Memphis right now on paper, as David James throws the M's up. Love it. Memphis is a good team, D-Mace. I don't know if you've gotten the opportunity to watch some of them, but
I've seen them a few times. I know their starting quarterback got hurt.
he did.
The
Yes.
backup came in and won a game, a few games for them.
Yeah.
Um,
Beat USF.
yes, beat USF, and that was a good game. They ended
That
up
was a
coming
really good
back,
game.
and winning that game. So I look at Memphis, and because is their quarterback back or no?
I believe he's back,
Okay.
which will help them a lot.
Yeah, which will help them moving forward because now the young guy has got some experience. If you do need to go back to him, and if you look at what is Memphis, the rest of their schedule looking like,
It's probably relatively easy. They
Yeah.
play in the American
pretty
Athletic,
much so. So
Hey. The American Athletic is a tough conference.
No disrespect
okay?
to the American. I mean, the American might be a better conference toughness-wise than the ACC. So
but their schedule isn't.
Oh no, it's really easy.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
I
an
think
easy schedule moving
I
forward.
think their last game is against Navy,
Uh-huh.
and that's probably the hardest.
Navy's
one.
not a bad team.
Yeah,
though.
no, exactly. That's probably the hardest one out of all their
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
Matthew in Nashville on our text line says Tennessee never had playoff expectations to begin the season. If we had made the field goal against Georgia and beaten Oklahoma, there's an argument for us that we could maybe get in even with the loss to Alabama. 100% agree. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're harping on
Yeah,
here.
that's what we said. Like, even though you lost to Alabama, Georgia, even though you lost to Georgia, if you win one of those games, Alabama or Oklahoma, you are still in position to make the college football playoffs. I understand the expectations at the beginning, but y'all, after the Alabama game, you controlled your own destiny.
Yeah.
You really did, because the only 2 hard games up to that point was Alabama and Oklahoma. And at that time, we didn't know what Oklahoma would be
Right.
for a minute there, because it's like they lost the quarterback, then he came back. So, but then
And
you
they
end up-
rushed him
it-
back,
and they
too.
rushed him, but then you end up losing to him.
Yeah.
So I am not letting UT off the hook.
Don't.
No.
No. Accountability is
exactly.
a thing.
I understand where you thought you were going to be, but what y'all showed us is y'all were the team that was earning the right to be in the college football playoffs, and y'all were one of the top teams in the country. Even after the Georgia game, I think people even believed it even more that y'all were a top team in the country. And then after that, you lose to Alabama in the fashion you did, and then you lose to Oklahoma. I'm not letting you off the hook. I think, but I'm not going to say I'm just going to say it was a disappointing season, because regardless of what you thought the season was going to be, your team had an opportunity. They set themselves up for an opportunity to possibly only lose 2 games, and they didn't take advantage of it.
I think Jake Lyman says it best. You hear it in his intro. 10-2 is an SEC program. You're probably getting in, and you controlled your own destiny. Now you have 3 losses. It's going to be tough for Tennessee to get in. 615-737-1025 is the phone line. Our phone and text line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. If you have thoughts on college football, later today we'll play Take It to the Bank to close out the show. Take It to the Bank with F&M Bank. Business is complicated. Banking doesn't have to be. F&M Bank. Visit one of their locations throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, or online at myfnmbank.com. When we come back, we'll talk about the other team locally here in Tennessee, Vanderbilt, a team that controls their own destiny to get to their playoff. If they miss the playoff, will it still be a successful season for Coach Clark Lea and company? That's all coming up next year on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason here with you on 102.5 The Game. Tomorrow's college football game of the week is LSU versus Alabama at 6:30 p.m. on 102.5 The Game, presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants and Circa Sportsbook Kentucky. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and theGameNashville.com. Welcome back in. DVD here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newt, Derek Mason sitting in with you, talking a little bit of college football. Just touched on Tennessee. Let's go about 3 hours west. Talk about the other team in the state of Tennessee that's having a bit of a better season than the Volunteers. The Vanderbilt Commodores, your Vandy Commodores, are sitting at 7-2 with 3 games remaining on the season. They are obviously taking on, they're taking on Auburn this week. Then they take on Kentucky, which you're going to have a hard time getting out alive in that one. I'm just kidding. And then the rivalry game over in Neyland against Tennessee. They are in a good position to make the college football playoff if they win out. I just said it in the last segment. 10-2 as an SEC team, you're probably getting into the college football playoff. Let's think worst case scenario here, D-Base. If Vandy drops another one here, let's say they drop to Tennessee and they go 9-3 and miss the college football playoff, would you still consider it a successful season for the Commodores?
Like Tennessee, I understand what the expectations were at the beginning of the season. I get that coming into the season. Vandy was a team that people, because of the victory versus Alabama last year and the way they finished, them getting themselves in a bowl game. I think people just looked at a Vandy coming in and said, schedule's a lot harder this year.
Yeah. Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors. Diego can't do it again. I mean, he can't throw. He can't do it again. So the expectations, I think, nationally was that they would win 6 games, maybe 7, and make it to a bowl game. That's it. But in that building, Diego said it. It's championships. And when he was talking about it, people laughed at him. He was on Feinbaum's show.
Yeah.
And Feinbaum was like, he looked at him like he had 3 heads when he said that. No one believed that Vandy would be in the position that they're in now. But Vandy did. And because Vandy believed it, and because the way they had been playing and still playing, if they don't make it, it is a disappointment. It's a disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
It truly is a disappointment, and no one can tell me different. Because, again, this team, in watching them, and this is not like I'm in Michigan and I don't watch SEC football, and I just watch Big Ten football, and I'm speaking on Vandy, had not watched them, and say, well, it wouldn't be a disappointing season because who thought Vandy would do anything anyway? That would be someone that's out from the outside looking in that don't follow them. Well, I followed this team over the last 2 years, even longer than that, but I followed this team over the last 2 years. And what I heard at the beginning of the season from Vandy and what I saw from Vandy showed me they are a playoff caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that should win 9, 10 games. So if they end up losing 3 games, if they end up losing 3, 4 games, to me, it's a disappointment because it's not a failed season.
Yeah.
That's not what it is. It's a disappointment because I'm watching this team every week and I see how much better this team is than they were last year. And this is no longer your grandfathers, great grandmothers. Vanderbilt.
This
exactly.
isn't even Vanderbilt 2 years ago.
This is not the same Vanderbilt. This is a Vanderbilt team that can compete and beat anybody in the SEC. That's the crazy part about it. I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams would be able to say with a straight face, Vandy could beat any team in the SEC.
You couldn't have told me that about 8 weeks ago.
Exactly. Like Vandy would be there. But now you're watching them and you're saying that they can beat everybody. They can. And they should by the way they play, but they haven't. Why? Because mistakes. They were close games, but end up being mistakes. So if Vandy doesn't take care of business from here on out, and I'm not saying that the road is easy. It's a hard road.
Yeah.
But I think they are made for it. They've told us, they've shown us they are made for this. Regardless of who was on their schedule. They are made for this. And if they don't come out of this doing what they have to do necessarily to make the playoffs, then it is a disappointing season, because this is a team that in my eyes is a playoff team. I'm not saying they win in the national championship. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
From what I've seen, this is a playoff caliber team. Same with UT. So I'm not giving them a pass. I love what Clark Lee is doing, but I'm sure he would be disappointed too, because I'm sure they all had high hopes knowing what they were bringing back.
And I think the fans would have disappointment on some level. It would be kind of a punch in the gut to see the waves that this team has made, the moves that this team has made, and not it all be essentially for nothing. I don't think we could go and completely say that if Vanderbilt goes 9-3 and misses the college football playoff, that it's a complete disappointment of the season, because you, as a texter on our text line driven by Wilson County Hyundai points out, the over/under wins for Vanderbilt before the season was 5.5. They have exceeded that already. And I think with 3 games remaining, they are all 3 very winnable games if I'm Vanderbilt. I think making the college football playoff is ultimately the end goal of this program, and it should be. The way that they're playing, like you said, D-Mace, they can beat any team in the SEC. And I don't think any team in the nation has as much fight as Vanderbilt does. Even the Texas game last week, they were down and out of the game early, battled back, and it came down to an onside kick. That's what they lost on, and lost by a field goal. That takes fight. That takes determination. That takes leadership that I think that the veteran presence in that locker room has. So I wouldn't completely say it's a disappointment if they missed the college football playoff. It would be a disappointing thing to happen. And I'm rooting for them to make the college football playoff, because I think it's a great story. I think that's a program that deserves some happiness, and I think it would be great for our city as a whole. So I can't wait to see what they do. These 3 weeks, you don't want college football to end because it's just so much fun. But at the same time, it's like watching your favorite show. You kind of just keep watching just to see what happens. And then once it's over, you're sad. But I think that Vanderbilt has everything they need and more heading into the last 3 games of the season. They're currently ranked number 16 in the college football poll. If they win out, obviously they're probably getting in. So I think if they make it, it would be because they've won out, and it should be super fun to watch.
Yeah. And again, to me, it's a disappointment because, again, I've seen this team, and everybody has, and there's nothing that has shown me they can't beat any team in this conference. I mean, legitimately go to toe-to-toe with them and beat them. It's a disappointment because of that. Then it's a disappointment because, listen, this was your opportunity. I remember when my son and I went to that big, beautiful stadium in Dallas, Texas. Well, it's not in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
It's in
Arlington,
Texas, to watch my alma mater play in the college football playoffs against Alabama. And I was proud. Why? Because D'Antonio's great. It's my university. But I'm like, man, this is an opportunity they need to seize, because not too many times, from where that program, we've been just like a middle of the road program. D'Antonio came in and made it a lot better. And that was their time to win a national championship, or either go to the national championship and play in the game. And they didn't take advantage of it. Yeah. And it was a disappointing season. Why? Because they hadn't been back since. They haven't been close to it since. I see the same thing for Vandy. I'm not saying that Vandy isn't going to continue to ascend, but Vandy's going to ascend. There are going to be a lot of other teams that are going to ascend too.
Yeah. And it's easier with NIL.
Exactly. It's easier with NIL. So when you have an opportunity to put yourself in a position to play for a national championship, then you got to take advantage of it. So that's why I say if they don't, then it is a disappointment. It's a missed opportunity.
I see your point, and I am inclined to agree with you. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Let's quickly go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Mark in Nashville. He's been patiently waiting. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, what's going on, fellas? What's up, Unc?
What's going on? I'm all right.
I just called you Unc.
I know.
Yeah, man. I was listening to y'all talk about Vanderbilt. Hey, D-Mace, first of all, if they lose another game, it's not going to hurt them, man. I mean, this has been one of the best seasons ever. Diego Pavia will go down as the greatest Vanderbilt quarterback ever. He will.
Mhm.
I mean, he last week, that was a Heisman moment, if you ask me, D. Mace. They were in Texas, in Austin, and almost pulled that out. They should have put it. Him and Stowers had a great game, over 300-some yards passing.
Mhm.
Had they got that onside kick, either 6 more or 3 more, because Texas defense wasn't playing up to par. But the key, you and Connor, I hadn't heard y'all say, they got to hope that Missouri keeps on winning, D-Mace, because if Missouri loses a game, and Connor, I'm not looking at the rankings right now, but I believe Missouri's like 22nd, 23rd.
Yeah,
If they
22.
lose one of those, they lose one of them games, D-Mace, that means Missouri falls out of the top 25. So that would hurt Vanderbilt even more. They got to hope that they got to be Missouri's number one fan right there. They got to hope that Missouri wins out, just like you hope Vanderbilt wins out. Kentucky's not going to be tough. They ought to get by Auburn. Tennessee's going to be a toss-up, though, because Tennessee would love to play the role of spoiler and keep Vanderbilt from getting into that playoff and then send them to a bowl game just like they're going to have to go to. But, hey, D-Mace, I know
Yes.
you miss me and stuff, man. I know you've been thinking about me.
Hey,
I know you have.
we don't have the gang here, man, for you to say, hey, Adam, Willie, D. Macy.
Oh yeah. Hey, Connor, number one caller. I'm gonna introduce myself. Number one caller, Mark in Nashville. You remember that, Connor? I was sitting there tonight eating you a big Whopper and some onion rings. You remember Mark from Nashville, number one caller. He's
man.
back.
I
He's
will.
back.
I will be looking up at the ceiling, thinking about you, Mark, tonight.
Thanks
Oh
a
yeah,
lot, Mark.
Hey, fellas,
Appreciate
y'all
it.
have a good weekend.
You do
Thanks.
the
Hey,
same.
D-Mace.
Thanks for the
Hey,
call.
remember D-Mace, remember the magic words now. Cromwell, ching, ching. I'm here. I'll see y'all, man.
Right.
Thanks, Mark. Together at
Uh,
cromwellmedia.com is the email if you're interested
yes.
in applying for a job.
Uh,
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll come back, talk a little bit more about the college football playoff as a whole. I got some questions about Texas that I know you asked Chad about, and I'm with you. I don't agree with them. We'll do that coming up next. You're on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason here with you on 102.5 The Game. There we go. Oh, I love it. I'm fired up now. Thank you for Pearl Jam. DVD here on 102.5 The Game. Adam Vingan, Willie Donick out today. I am in with Derek Mason. My name is Connor Newt. D-Mace, let's talk a little bit about the college football playoff, shall we? In case you missed it, the rankings are as follows. Ohio State at number 1, Indiana number 2, number 3, Texas A&M. No surprise there. Those are the 3 undefeated teams in the nation. Number 4, Alabama. Number 5, Georgia. Number 6, Ole Miss. Number 7, BYU. Number 8, Texas Tech. Number 9, Oregon. 10, Notre Dame. 11, Texas. 12, Oklahoma. So that gives you, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 SEC teams in the initial college football playoff rankings. One of them is not like the other. Texas is ranked at number 11. Why? They have been given every opportunity. I understand they beat Oklahoma pretty handedly, but Texas has not been the team that they have been advertised to be this year. And look, I understand Arch Manning is not playing to the level that they are supposed to play. And it's, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm getting an update. According to sources right now, the airport is under a ground stop due to the storms.
Ooh,
So please, if you are out and about, please be careful. It is storming rather hard here. And if we get to a point where a tornado warning is issued, we will give you coverage of that. But up until now, we'll talk about college football to distract you from that. Texas ranked at number 11. I don't understand it. And I think it's a product of we want to get Arch Manning the most opportunity that we possibly can because that gets the national spotlight on him. But what has Texas done? What ranked wins other than Oklahoma have they done? They've gone to Ohio State, got beat there, and since then it's been light work of a schedule for them, and they've struggled against some really bad teams. So I don't really understand the love for Texas there, D-Mace.
Listen, this was a team that was the number 1 team in the country, preseason rankings coming into the season. They played a number 3 team. It's a close game. They lose 14-7. Now that loss is used as a good thing, and not a bad thing.
Yeah.
For Texas, because one is because Ohio State is the number 1 team in the country, and they have remained the number 1 team. I think outside of 1 week, maybe.
Week 1, they were number 3.
1, but after they beat Texas, I don't know why I was thinking Ole Miss for some reason that they got up there, but no, they didn't. Or Texas A&M, but they didn't. But you were beat by the number 1 ranked team in the country, basically. 14-7 at the beginning of the year. And then the next time you had to play an opponent that was worthy of playing, because after that you play San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston. Come on now, you beat all those. Combine those teams, score 17 points in 3 games. Okay, then you had a chance to really okay, we're Texas. He's Arch Manning. We're about to do this. You lose at Florida in the swamp. And then you come back. Yes, you beat number 6 Oklahoma. They rushed their quarterback back. He shouldn't have came back. And then you beat, obviously, Vanderbilt, and that was a close game. But for some reason, that close loss and then that close win is helping you
right
in this situation, because people are looking at, well, look at their strength of schedule. Not saying that, well, they lost to 2 of those teams, and one of them were not ranked. Even when they played them, they weren't ranked, and they lost to, meaning Florida. But here's the deal: they have an opportunity, and I think this is why because Texas, they control their own destiny. One, yes, having Texas in the playoffs, I think, is good for business. Having Manning in the playoffs, especially after you said he was the next coming of Jesus, basically, in football. They did this. I remember this years and years ago. They did it with a guy that went to Notre Dame. I forgot the quarterback's name. And, they said this guy was going to win 3 Heisman trophies. They were going to win national championship after national championship. And he ended up being a dud flat out. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that Arch Manning, I'll get the name for you. I'm not saying that Arch Manning is going to be a dud or hasn't been a dud, but he hasn't lived up to the expectations. He's playing better, but he hasn't lived up to the expectations. But I think having Texas and a Manning in the playoffs is good for business. They're going to give them every opportunity to kick themselves out because they have it. Georgia and Texas A&M, you're talking about 2 top 5 teams that they have on the remainder of their schedule with Arkansas in the middle. If they win those 2 games, hell, if they lose to Arkansas but beat Georgia and Texas, I still would think they would have a better shot at making the playoffs than Vandy if Vandy went out.
Yeah.
Even if they lose to Arkansas, if they beat Georgia and Texas A&M, they would have a better shot at making the playoffs
because the
if Vandy win the remainder of the games.
The committee would look at that and say, well, Vanderbilt's best win is an unranked LSU, Missouri, and Tennessee if they were to win out.
Yes.
Texas's best wins would be Georgia and A&M.
And then you throw Oklahoma in
and
there.
then Oklahoma.
And then they also beat Vandy too. So
yeah, exactly.
And they would definitely do that.
They would more than like, I can see a scenario where Texas still gets in and Vandy doesn't.
Yeah.
But again, 2 things that look the same aren't the same.
Right.
Vandy in Texas, or, they're counting, they're not counting the losses against Texas, but they're counting the losses against that Vanderbilt has against Alabama and Texas.
Right.
But they're not counting Texas's losses to Oklahoma State and Florida. Ohio State and Florida. They're not counting that against them. Actually, they're using that as a badge of honor for Texas in regards to Ohio State. Why? Because Ohio State remained the number 1 team. And, they do look, if you watch them, they do look like the number 1 team. Them, Indiana, or Texas A&M, and that's what Withrow talked about. But I can't sit here and say that Texas lately they have looked like a much better team. But if they have another loss, is it worth that to try to get them in?
Right. 615-737-1025. Texter here says, Ohio State fan here. We lost a number of players in the draft, and that first game against Texas, we were green. If they played again, that game would go different, and they'd lose by more than 7. The hole that went where they were when the game happened can go both ways. The Texas close loss being looked at as a good thing, and it's the first game of the season. Hard to put weight into it.
Well, don't worry about it because Texas might have an opportunity to avenge their loss.
Right.
They may have an opportunity.
Maybe them in the playoff.
Exactly. So Ohio State fan, you may just get your wish. And listen, I've watched Ohio State just about every week, some form of fashion. And I do believe now Ohio State would probably do even more damage to Texas the second go around.
I would agree.
Because
I think your point is correct. They were very raw in that game, and Texas was too.
Yeah.
I think Julian Sayin, the quarterback for Ohio State, is connecting with his 2 receivers that are Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith on a completely different level.
I am, and TD gave me some names of guys he wanted me to watch as far as wide receivers in college and that are going to be potential draft picks. And I like Carnell Tate last year.
Yeah.
This year, he's the best wide receiver in college football.
Really? Chris said the same thing.
This kid, this is who I want. If the Titans have the number 1 pick, I want them to trade out of it and get this guy.
Yeah.
People, the only reason he is being overshadowed because the guy next to him is even better than him.
Yeah.
And that's a damn shame because this kid, and I hate to kind of get off in a tangent about the draft because I didn't want to do it and whatnot.
It's all good.
But this kid, Carnell Tate, 6'4", got speed.
Elite route runner.
Elite route runner, hands catcher, contact catcher. This kid can do it all.
Yeah.
I've watched him over the last year. It's been a total of a year now. And he is much better this year than he was. And he was good last year.
Yeah.
He was really good. and he had it. He had a Mecca and all those guys,
Yeah.
and he still shined. But this year, this kid to me right now, if I had to go in and had to draft a wide receiver, he would be my first pick because Smith
That's
is not coming
interesting.
out. Smith is not.
No,
he
he's
can't
not.
come out.
He
Yeah.
can't.
He or the kid from Alabama, and I think Tate is better than the kid from Alabama.
I agree
and
with
I
that.
thought he was really good.
Yeah, I agree that Carnell Tate's better than Ryan Williams. I think the reason is because Jeremiah Smith has so much athleticism and intangibles that we haven't exactly measured yet. He's looked at as a much better prospect than Carnell Tate. I personally would still say Jeremiah
Oh, of
Smith
course,
might be
yes.
the better receiver,
Mhm.
but Carnell Tate, I think, would be a fantastic pick if you're the Tennessee Titans. I like him better than Ryan Williams, you said, the kid in Arizona State, Jordan Tyson.
Mhm.
I like him better. He is truly a fantastic prospect. Want to hear something weird about this college football playoff?
What's that?
Of all 12 teams in here, not one of them comes from the ACC. The ACC is the only power conference not represented in the initial playoff ranking.
Are you surprised?
No, not really, but Virginia, it comes in at the highest ranked ACC team at 14, immediately followed by Louisville at 15. Georgia Tech and Miami are 17 and 18. And then Pitt is number 24. So there are 5 ranked ACC programs. Not one of them is in the college football playoff. Obviously, one of them is going to get in. The champion of that conference, based on what this looks like, will probably be the only team from the ACC that gets in. But I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, at the beginning of the season, we didn't think the ACC would get no more than 1, maybe 2 teams. And I think it's going to reign true that they're going to get 1. That's a given. But outside of that, I mean, who else? What other team?
Yeah, I mean,
okay, whoever doesn't get in, like if Virginia continues, they go unbeaten. Will they then, if they go unbeaten, or say if they lose a game, what other teams? Georgia Tech, probably not.
Yeah. We thought it was Miami.
If Virginia wins the ACC, they will be the only team in. I can't see a Georgia Tech make it. I can't see Pittsburgh making it. Obviously, Louisville, they will not make it. They only get 1 team because of you're looking at the top 4 teams and they're all top 25 ranked teams, but one of them had 2 losses in Pittsburgh, and then Louisville has a loss, Georgia Tech has a loss, Virginia has a loss. Don't they play one another in this? One of the teams play, or have they all played each other? And then you got Miami that's sitting at 6-2. I mean, they're not gonna.
No, they're not making it in. The only saving grace they had was if they won or lost 1 game, and they would have a game over Notre Dame. But now that they have 2 losses, I think they're done, and they're currently sitting in 6th place in the ACC. So a lot would have to happen for them to make the championship up. But you're right; it's truly a testament to how weak the ACC is.
Virginia's schedule is weak moving forward. And right now they sit as the number 1 team in the conference. And then you look at Georgia Tech's schedule. I'm sure Georgia Tech's schedule is pretty much cake. Yeah. Well, they got Georgia. ACC. Well, no, because if Pitt is ranked 24th now, and then they got Georgia at the end of the season. If they can beat Georgia and Pitt, they should have a good argument at 8-2.
Yeah.
Well, only having 2 losses. Let's put it that way.
It's a messy conference.
Yeah, having 2 losses, they would have if they beat Georgia, they would have a case to make it to the college football playoffs.
Yeah, it's a messy conference. Certainly interested to see how all the turmoil shakes out. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to weigh in on the conversation. When we come back, we'll get back into the Tennessee Titans and talk a little bit about what everyone likes to talk about, quarterback development. If it comes to it, will the Titans, and I heard Jake talk about this earlier today on his show, so I'll kind of expand on it a little bit. If it comes to it, would the Titans possibly find an excuse to sit Cam Ward late in the season? We'll discuss that coming up next here on DVD. Derek Mason, Connor Newt here with you on 102.5 The Game. D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick here on 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Adam Vingen out today. Hope they're doing just fine. Willie, I got to listen to last night on the call. He did not sound 100%, but he did a great job regardless. So
Fought through it.
we are proud of our friend Willie Donick. Adam Vingen out today as well. So I am out of the bullpen to take matters into my own hands. Derek Mason, Connor Newt here with you. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. It has been a football-centric show today, and it will continue for another hour. Let's get back into the Titans, shall we, D-Mace? I have posed the question. I heard Jake talking about this on his show for maybe 10 minutes. It wasn't too much of a segment, but I want to expand on it a little bit. He brought up the idea that the Titans, at some point late in the season, if we get to early December and the Titans know they're out of it, obviously they are right now, but if the Titans have 1 to 2 wins, maybe they find an excuse to sit Cam Ward for a couple of weeks. Maybe they say, oh, well, he rolled up on his ankle and we're just going to shut him down for the rest of the season for precautionary reasons. If it came to it, do you think that would be beneficial for the long-term career plans of Cam Ward?
The Carolina Panthers did exactly what, is suggested. That, they started, their quarterback, and they benched him in the middle of the season.
Yep.
And,
for Andy Dalton.
Yeah, for Andy Dalton. And then Bryce Young ended up regaining his starting position, and he's looked a lot better. The team's better. New coach.
Yeah.
So maybe
that's
what he needed. Yeah, maybe that's what they needed is new environment for the young coach, for the young quarterback. And it seems to be working. I know they wish he was a little bit further along, but he's not. But it's not like, he's proven to them he's not worthy of being a starter, because he's played much better than he has than he was last year. But I think in that situation, because he was getting beat up bad, and that whole system didn't work for him. So, and they had a veteran guy behind him that has had some success in his league. So they knew they were changing coaches, so they got the young man out of there. It's like, listen, there's no need, because he's really bad. He wasn't showing no improvement. And Cam Ward is showing somewhat that he's picking things up. Now, there are still things he needs to work on, but he's shown that he is picking things up. I'm not sure that would be beneficial to Cam Ward if you bench him.
Yeah.
Because you think, well, we're not going to the playoffs. I don't want my young quarterback to get hurt, so let me bench him, and sort of save him from all this misery. I think the only way he's going to get better is if he have more reps on the field. And he's just going to have to play through this. Now, you don't want your quarterback to get hurt. Outside of getting injured, I don't think he's shown me anything that is going to cause alarms like, oh, if he plays longer, this is going to totally mess this kid up. Now, I think the contrary. I think if you play him more, he's going to each and every week, there's going to be things that he get better at. And, hopefully one of those things is the footwork. But, a lot of that stuff is going to be taken care of in the off season. A lot of those footwork issues, and Paul stated this out. He said, listen, on those individual, when they have time to work on their footwork, it's only like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So once you get in the grind of the season, it's harder to work on those little small things. You try to set up pass plays where his body mechanically has to do that. But for young guys, it takes some time. And I'm hoping that come next year, he will be a lot better, because he's been working intently on it in the offseason. And that's the only way. That's when we're going to see the real progress. That's when we're going to see the jump from first base to third base, or home to second base, him hitting a double. It's not going to be during the season. It's going to be after the season. And when he comes into next season, we're going to see all the things that he was capable of really intently working on. Before he couldn't work on all this stuff, because you got the playbook. Each and every game, you're game planning for a different team, so you can't work on those little small things that you need to work on. Again, it's not until the off season, so those things he need to work out, and he will. But until then, the only opportunity he has to display, those mechanics is being out there playing. So unless he gets hurt, which God forbids, I'm not gonna wood people if this is wood.
Is this wood?
I don't know what it is. But outside of him getting hurt, he needs to stay on the field, because that's the only time they get to work, and not work meaning intently, like we're gonna really work on these. You get an opportunity to go through those motions, and they become sort of like second nature to you more and more. But it's not going to be until the off season that he really has an opportunity to intently work on those things.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. I can't subscribe to the idea of let's sit him out of fear of the unknown. Look, he could get hurt walking off the team bus today. He could fall and roll his ankle, and he's out for the rest of the season. Well, we don't know. I'll use a term that Chase and Joe use on me all the time, because look, I'm a worrier. I worry about a lot of things I can't control. Don't worry about the imagined troubles. And look, we can play this game of hypotheticals all we want to, and that's kind of what makes for good sports talk radio, in my opinion. But I don't agree with the idea of, he might get hurt, let's just shut him down because we're out of it anyway. No, I agree with you, D. Mason, that the best reps he is going to get are live game reps. And that's where he learns the most. And that's where he is able to develop sort of his own mental game plan and his own mental tendencies on what he wants to do and what to do in which situation. I don't think that sitting on a bench and watching Brandon Allen play quarterback just for the sake of doing it and preserving your high draft pick is going to be beneficial, not just for this season, but for Cam Ward in the long term. He has that mentality where he is, a leader first. And he's on record of saying, if I throw a 4-pick game, I'm just going to keep coming out and swinging the same way I've been swinging, which good on him. I love that about him. I feel like if you were to sit him just for the sake of sitting him, I think some of that confidence would start to fade away.
Not because it's because now you've removed me from my position, not because I was hurt or anything, but because of other factors. Instead of on a bad team allowing me to play myself through this, I will figure it out. I'm sure that's I can. I'll figure it out. I'm going to get this. You could tell by the way he answers his questions when they're asking him, hey, have you improved this and that? He always say, listen, I'm improving.
Yeah.
There are things I need to work at.
And he is the first one to tell you what he needs to work on.
But he said, listen, I'm improving in areas. I know that. I see it. But there's still areas I need to get better at. And if you sitting, it's like, well, what do you really think of me, organization?
Yeah, exactly.
So no, you leave him on the field. And I know the Titans are not thinking, from that standpoint of removing him, unless it just got so bad where it really is a hazard to be out there, which I don't think it's going to get there. But you can't remove this young man. You got to allow him to play through it. It would only serve him better if he continues to play through, what the Titans have him going through. Because if you are true to what you're saying and true to your word, you're going to surround him by good players.
Yeah.
You're going to build this team the way it need to be built. And hopefully Borgons is that guy. But yeah, you got to let him go out there and let him play through whatever he's going through.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the notion that some fans are upset that he hasn't made an instant impact, which is not uncommon for a rookie quarterback. We talked about it earlier, D-Mace. He didn't come in and immediately make an electric impact like a Jaden Daniels did or CJ Stroud.
No.
That's just not the kind of situation that he showed up in, and it makes sense. That said, if you want him to improve, I think that you should keep him in there and let him experience the ups and downs of being a starting quarterback.
Yeah, that's only one. That's one of those. That's a situation where you allow him, to get better. He can't get better. He can't get better or worse on the bench. I get that from, theoretically. I mean, I guess he can if he's not playing, but you figure if he's on the bench, you won't notice whether he's getting better or not. But at least if you put him on the field, I know what I need to work on heading into the offseason. Exactly.
Right.
I can see, okay, he's not okay. These are some areas we really need to hone on. But if it's not there, you don't know what he's getting better at or what he's still struggling with.
Yeah. 615-737-1025. Texter says, can we get a weather report? My wife said there's a tornado coming from Smyrna or something and golf ball hail. I am not a meteorologist, neither is Derek Mason, but
No.
I will tell you that it is raining pretty hard right now. Believe storms are going to be in effect in Middle Tennessee until about 10 o'clock tonight. We did have some thunder and some lightning here. Right now it's just rain. Not sure about anywhere else, but that's the weather report from me, Connor Newton, here on 102.5 The Game. So I want to take this a little bit in a different direction, D-Mace. The national perception of Cam Ward and the local perception of Cam Ward seem to clash a little bit, if that makes sense. I think the average fan looks at Cam Ward and says, yeah, he's not playing good. This isn't a good situation, and maybe we should start thinking about a new quarterback. Nationally, based on people I've talked to and people I've listened to, they believe in Cam Ward. They believe that he is going to bounce back on his feet. They loved him coming out of college. They think, not that he's a generational prospect, but they think he is a good enough prospect to be the number one overall pick and a franchise quarterback for the Tennessee Titans moving forward. I tend to lean in the middle right now. I think he is a promising young prospect. I think he is the kind of quarterback that you want to build your franchise around. That said, I lean with the locality and that he is not in a good situation right now. And the roster is not good enough to set him up for success. And hence he's somewhat struggling a little bit. It is interesting to look at how the national perception clashes with local, but overall, do you feel that we should take a more optimistic approach towards Cam Ward or sort of the more grounded reality approach?
I think it's hard to tell, the fan base, not to feel one way or the other. I know what I've seen or what I see. And I know that he is getting better.
Yeah.
I feel that. And I see it, honestly. But I can't, if the other guy doesn't see it or the fans don't see it, then I'm not sure that there's something that I can say to them to make them see it other than, him going out there playing and showing that he is doing the things necessary to develop within, this system that they have him in at this point in time. So yeah, there are people that are going to think one thing, whether he's, is worthy of that. Was he worthy of that number one pick or not? But a lot of this is it's a wait and see game.
Yeah.
That's all this is. And I get it. He didn't start off like Game Busters. I understand that part. But it's still a wait and see. Aren't we the same people that said Amy's not being patient?
Yeah.
Look at what she did. And
now we're not being patient.
We're not being patient with a quarterback that's on a really bad team that has no coach right now. Essentially, They really don't have a head coach. They have an intern coach, but they don't have a head coach, permanent head coach. So you want Amy to be, patient, but we're not patient, or some of us are not patient with Cam Ward, knowing the situation he's in.
Yeah, no, it's an unfortunate situation, and it's just is what it is right now.
Yeah.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com if you want to weigh in on the Cam Ward conversation. Speaking of impatience, I'll take it one step further. Coming up next, let's talk about this. How long will we know before Cam Ward is indeed the right pick or a bust? Everyone's favorite topic, and excited to get into more of that coming up next right here on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason here with you on 102.5 The Game.
Derek Mason here. If you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet, replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
Mike, in talking about building culture fit, obviously you drafted Cam #1 overall, and you feel like he brings the intangibles you're looking for.
Yes.
That can be a franchise quarterback. But what do you see from him so far? Because it looks like he has struggled probably more than most #1 overall picks should entering the league.
He looks like a rookie quarterback playing on, a team that had the #1 pick last year, and he is he's developing, and he's developing with a lot of other rookies too as well, right? So we have 2 rookie wide receivers out there playing, Jim and Alec. We have Gunnar playing out there. So they are learning together, and they're only going to be better because of it. And I have full confidence that Cam, because of his work ethic, because of his drive, that he will fix things that he needs to fix, just like every quarterback in this league, though. And I have full confidence that he's going to get there.
There you go. That was Mike Borgonzi talking about Cam Ward as the future of the Tennessee Titans quarterback room. Interesting stuff there from GM Mike. Welcome back in. DVD here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newt, Derek Mason here with you. DVD brought to you by Bax Homeworks. Bax Homeworks, remodeling done right. Get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com. So, interesting commentary there from Mike Borgonzi. They asked him basically, how do you think of Cam Ward's season so far? And he said, I feel he looks like the first overall pick on a team that had the first overall pick last year, which is about par for the course and what you should expect from a player coming into our system. I'm very intrigued by that answer, because I think it kind of plays into the question we are all wondering, and a question no one has the answer to. How long before we know Cam Ward is indeed the right pick or a first overall bust? And D-Mace, I don't think we have the answer to that question right now. But what are some signs that you think Cam Ward can show throughout the remainder of the season, as we're in the bye week right now, to show us that he has something we can build off of?
I mean, just continuing to go out there and, play the game in a way that shows everybody that you're developing, that you're learning. It's not going to be perfect. This is a bad team. So, the numbers are only going to tell a small portion of the story, because you can't, if you're just looking at his supporting cast, and this is no slight to them, and I'm talking about the rookie guys. They're rookies just like him, so they're learning all of this too.
Yeah.
But his supporting cast isn't a supporting cast that's going to put up big numbers. They're just not. Especially that Calvin Ridley's been injured too.
Yeah.
Now these young guys are coming on and they're showing, that they're getting better, but getting better doesn't equal, they're going to have multiple 100-yard games, or Cam's going to have multiple 250, 300-yard games. No. So when it comes to the numbers, if that's what you're looking for, because Adam did bring this up and he said, well, and he was right. Like, how am I going to know there has been improvement in Cam? Because right now, from a statistical standpoint, he's basically last of all qualified starting quarterbacks. He's basically last. And Adam said, well, just don't be last, be a little bit up there. Just don't be last. And from that standpoint, or that logic, yes, it is showing improvement from a number standpoint. But just because your numbers are better doesn't mean you're improving as a quarterback. I've seen quarterbacks put up gaudy numbers and then the team don't sign them and they go somewhere else and they're horrible.
Yeah.
Just because you have gaudy numbers don't mean that you're developing into the quarterback they want you to become. So with him, I'm not looking at numbers. He's, like Borgonzi said, he's like every other rookie quarterback in this league. They're going to struggle. His struggles are just more than some have been, because his roster is worse than some individuals that got drafted at that slot as a quarterback they went into.
Yeah.
I look at Michael Vick's first year. Hell, he only completed 44% of his passes.
Yeah.
44% of his
That
passes.
is pretty astronomically
He started
bad.
8 games, but he only completed 44% of those passes. And we know ultimately how dangerous Michael Vick became as a player. And after that, he started to get better and better and better. And unfortunately for him, some things happened and it kind of derailed him a little bit. But you can go back, you go back to Michael Vick, you can go back to some of these other quarterbacks. When that question is asked, it's an unfair question, but I get it. It's an unfair question because you don't know. I've watched a team with the number 1 overall pick and watched them play, and they still wasn't good, and the quarterback wasn't developing. So,
and they're called the Cleveland Browns.
Hell, the Dallas Cowboys with Troy Aikman as the number 1 pick was horrible, and he was horrible. But how did Troy turn out? He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first season isn't the end all be all. Is he struggling? Yes. But I don't think he's struggling no more than what any other number 1 overall pick at that position struggles. Some guys don't struggle as much.
Right.
But some guys have a better supporting cast around them.
Yep. And I go back to what I said earlier in the show. Steve had the opportunity, to sit a year and learn. Cam Ward does not have that opportunity. And I don't think he should, to be honest with you. He's not going to learn much behind Brandon Allen. But like I said, he had you, and he had Chris, and he had Frank, and he had Kevin, and he had this whole supporting cast. He had a great offensive line. He had a great defense. He came into a situation where he could thrive a lot easier than Cam Ward can. And I think that's part of the argument here.
And listen, they brought Steve along slow. He didn't start for a year, damn near 2 years, honestly. But even when they put him in slowly, and the foundation around him was more stable than what it is now. They had guys that had shown that they can produce in this league. Chris was one of them.
Yeah.
Eddie was another.
Yeah.
So you had those guys. And so when you step into that position and they add a Frank Wycheck, and then they bolster your defense where you ain't got to do it all yourself, it allows you to develop in a way that is beneficial to everybody, quarterback, but the organization as well. Cam's in a situation where unfortunately, he's not in that.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the luxury of depending on a top-ranked defense, or hell, a top half defense. He doesn't have that luxury. He doesn't have the luxury of playing, with an offensive line that is good and ready to go. He don't have that luxury. He don't have that luxury of having a veteran guy that has been there at the wide receiver position because Ridley's hurt, and then they get rid of Lockett. So now you're left with a bunch of rookies like you. So to me, the question is a good question, but I think it's an unfair question to say that he's basically playing worse than any other. His situation is different.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen every situation. I'm just going by the few that I know, and they are much different from Cam's.
Right. And I'll use your example again. You have seen 2 different rookie quarterbacks come into 2 completely different situations and both make it out okay because they adapted to said situation. So I think it's about how Cam Ward adapts to his situation. And look, his situation, I would hope, will get better.
It should. Hopefully it does.
It should. It
If
can't
not,
get much worse.
Fired again.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to say it can't get worse because we said that before.
That is
and
true.
It got worse with the offensive line. But what I will say is, listening to Borgonzi the other day, and he needs to be the front man from now on.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah, he needs to be the front man from now on any and everything when it comes to this roster. But listening to him, I know what they want to do. Now they got to allow him to do it and nobody else. I know what they want to do. They want to develop draft some good players, develop them, and allow them to grow within the system with Cam and flourish. That's what they want to do. If that's what, let the guy that is used to doing it do it, Borgonzi.
Yeah, well, you got to let it play out.
Exactly.
You got to be patient.
Let him do it, and fans, let it play out. I understand that each and every year presents a different problem, especially, and it's stacked on to problems that you probably hadn't dealt with But let's continue to just watch Cam from now. From when they come back until the season and the next season. Instead of saying, well, he's not going to be this, or he will be this, or we wasted a pick, we should have done. Let it play out, because this is a guy that I think is improving, but he still has a ways to go. And what helps that improvement is that you surround him with better players. You don't know what a quarterback, just like Jalen Hurts. They didn't think Jalen Hurts was a good player. They thought, oh, okay, but he can't lose to a Super Bowl. What happened? They surrounded him with more players. What happened? He ends up winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So don't tell me he can't do it. Just put some people in place, because I've seen glimpses of it, just like I saw glimpses of Jalen Hurts. I always liked Jalen Hurts.
Mhm.
I saw it at Alabama when he got benched, came back in, and had to win the game in the SEC championship to push them over the brink. And he did it. He came in, didn't play the whole game, came in and won that game for them.
Mhm.
Just came out there. Wasn't gonna be this. Came out there. So that kid, he understands. He's good enough. Just put talent around him. He'll flourish. He did at Philadelphia. It's the same with Cam Ward. I'm not saying that he's Jalen Hurts, but what I'm saying is this: the kid is proving it. You're seeing it. Let's make a true judgment on this guy when you start to put people around him that can help him. If he's still not getting the job done, then okay. But you can't say, oh, he's not getting the job done, and then say, well, he ain't got a number one receiver. He ain't got an offensive line. Okay, if you don't have all that thing, then
it's going to be a lot harder for you.
It's going to be a lot harder. Like people don't, and I know why people don't get it, because they're not in that. They're not in that situation. They've never been in it. They're just looking at it like everybody else getting better. They getting better. Why can't our quarterback get better? Well, when the situation around him gets better, then you will see him take that necessarily jump. It will be more glaring, that jump, as opposed to what it is now.
Let's get to some of your texts very quickly before we take it to the bank on our final segment of the day. 615-737-1025. 2527 says exactly what I'm arguing against. Whatever it is that makes a true franchise quarterback, Cam doesn't have it. He's a future backup disguised as a savior QB. He is the next Mariota / Jake Locker wasted pick. To that, I would respond, why? Give me some statistics that prove otherwise. And don't use his current statistics, because stats lie. Like we've been harping on, D-Mace. You can look at the stats without watching the game and say Cam Ward has had a less than subpar season, which maybe is true on some level. He hasn't been the hit the ground running first overall pick that a lot of fans thought he would be. But I don't think you can look at Cam Ward 9 games into his rookie season in the NFL and say, oh, he's a bust. He's already done. We've already wasted a pick. You got to let these things play out. Like we've said, he's in a horrible situation with a gun-firing owner who is not afraid to just pull the trigger immediately. He doesn't have a true GM in his, and even on the field, he doesn't have a number one receiver. He doesn't have a good defense, doesn't have an offensive line. There are a lot of factors that play into the struggles of Cam Ward so far. And I don't think you can just label him as a bust 9 games into his career.
No, but in this world of athletics, they are quicker to tag a bust sign on you.
Oh yeah,
than anything.
It's the youth.
It's either,
I speak as part of the youth.
Either they're saying you are bust or you Hall of Fame bound.
Yep.
One of the two. It's not.
And it changes game to game.
It's not like, okay, this kid got to be mature and he's looking good, or he took a step back. Okay, we just got to wait. No, it's after the first game of the first year, either you're going to Canton or you're not, and you're a bust.
And it changes every single game.
Absolutely.
Yep. Thank you, Mike.
That's basically what it is.
Quickly, Justin Greenbrier says, I'm sure y'all talked about this already, but why would the Titans release Quandre Diggs instead of try to trade him? Simple answer to that, I don't think there was a market for Quandre Diggs.
He was barely playing here.
He was barely playing here. You would, at best, get maybe financial compensation for him, but I don't think anyone will be willing to give up a pick for a rotational safety. There's just no market for that.
They'll wait for you to cut him and then pick him up.
Yeah, someone will pick him up, and
Mhm.
he'll probably serve the same role over there as he did here. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you have any final thoughts to get to, coming up next, I'll do my best on this. We're going to take it to the bank as we do every Friday here on the program. It's going to be a struggle for me. I'll just tell you that right now, with no Adam or no Willie, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
So we got you. Don't worry
We'll
about
we'll
it.
show you. We'll show
Yeah,
you.
So
we got you.
stay tuned for the train wreck that is to come up next right here on DVD. Connor Newt, Derek Mason, David Janes with you on 102.5 The Game.
Hey, this is Derek Mason, and you heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a goal to shed some extra pounds, only to face disappointment. But I got some news, and it's good, because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test, supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick here on 102.5 The Game. Vingen and Donick both out. Connor Newt in. That is me. As we do every week to wrap up the week, we take it to the bank with F&M Bank. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Visit one of their locations throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfnmbank.com. With that, I turn things over to David James to give last week's scores. David.
All
take it away.
right. All right, guys. So last week was not a good week for us, guys. I hate to say it.
There's no us. It's just you, not me.
Me and D-Mace. Hold your horses, young fella. Me and D-Mace. And then, Adam and Willie as well. It was not a good week for us. One of our common questions were the Titans, will they be outscored by 12.5 points against the Chargers? They finally kept it close. I don't know why they decided to play close this time. I think it's just because all four of us decided to pick against them this week. And so there's no points for that. But the over-under 12.5 receptions for the young wide receivers, which was Helm, DK, and Iomanner, me, Adam, and D-Mace all thought, we're going to believe in our young fellas. That didn't happen. And Willie just decided to say, you know what? I'm going to disagree with everyone else again. So Willie got the
Willie.
1 point. I know, yeah, typical Willie. He got 1 point off of that. But now we'll go to the individual picks. Adam said that Justin Herbert would have 250-plus passing yards and 3 touchdowns. He got the 250 passing yards. He just didn't get the 3 touchdowns, which he got bullied for, which he's, what is it? 1 and 3 or 1 and 2 against people bullying him for picks.
So he say.
Yeah.
Did nobody bully him? Did he say, man up?
Listen,
He's
we
got
just
a victim mentality.
we just said, hey, make a better pick.
Exactly.
That's all we
Exactly.
did.
Just
We're
make
here.
you want points, man.
Exactly.
Playing it safe.
We love Adam, but sometimes we gotta hey, up it up a little bit.
Yeah, up the ante a little bit.
Up the ante. But he did get a point because Duke did beat Texas by 7.5 points.
Mhm.
So he got 3 points for that for a total of 41 total
And
points.
that was basketball, people.
That was not football. That was basketball. And let's go to Willie. Willie said that the Bills would straight up win, and that Vladdy would get 3 times on base. The Bills won, but Vladdy did not get on base. Only got on base once.
Okay.
So Willie got a total of 4 total points for 61 total points. I mean, Willie's just taking this competition over.
Yeah, don't let him start losing, though, because then he'll come after the commissioner.
He will. And I again, the commissioner talks back too, so he's going to hear it. But D-Mace, while I hated your picks because you picked the Lakers to beat my Memphis Grizzlies, you did get a point off of that. But Austin Reeves and John Morant did not score 22 total points.
Barely played.
Ja only got 8 points. I
Exactly.
mean, Ja's ready to leave Memphis already from what I've seen. And I don't
Get
wanna
ready
talk
to
about
learn Sacktown, buddy.
And D-Mace got a total of 3 points for 32 total points. D-Mace, you're doing really well. You're
And
coming
Willie
back.
has how many points?
61. Now, wait for this.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna go to my score, and again, I kind of don't want to talk about my score because I did really bad. I got a whopping 0. So let me find my loser.
There you go.
That's how I did because I picked
Oh.
Vandy to have 2 rushing touchdowns. Didn't happen, and that John Morant would have 25 total points. Didn't happen,
It's all right.
so.
You're on the air with the man who single-handedly won Ian Safar.
That is true.
Whatever their pick game is last year.
Pick
so,
them or whatever
yeah,
they call it.
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever.
They, call it over
They
there.
still owe me a beer. So
Yeah, they do. But D-Mace, you have the common questions this week, so we're going to go to you for that.
Okay, common question for the week is Vanderbilt is averaging 37 points per game, really 38, but it's 37.7. And we know Auburn has a stingy defense, and they're only surrendering 17.7 points per game. Over, under, Vandy scores 27.5 points. Over or under? So what did Willie and Adam pick?
So Willie said under.
Mm-hmm.
okay, on behalf of Adam Vingen, let's see. Adam is also taking the under.
Man, I need some points, man. I need some points. I got to go with the over.
There we go.
Since Willie did the same thing,
Yeah.
I'm with you, D-Mace. We're going to over party. The over
Exactly.
party.
It's going to be the over. All right. The second question is Auburn is averaging 2.7 sacks per game. And Vandy's offensive line has been pretty good. They didn't play that way much of last week against Texas, but for the most part, they played really good and only giving up 1 sack per game. So over under sacks allowed by Vandy 1.5. I am going to say the over.
Willie also is going with the over.
Adam's going under.
Oh, okay. All right.
I feel the over as well.
Okay.
Auburn's just good.
Yeah. And I think because of Diego's, which is a good thing, his ability to scramble, I think that's going to cause him to get sacked that second time or maybe that third time. So
I would
There you
agree.
go.
Now let's go to Connor. Since you have Adams picks, you will go first. Go.
Okay.
What were Adams' individual picks?
Okay. So first up, he's going to the NFL. He is taking the Bills to cover at the Dolphins. That's a -8.5 point spread in favor of the Buffalo Bills. So Josh Allen and company handle business and cover that spread. His other one is the Seahawks cover against the Cardinals at home. That's a 6.5 point spread in favor of Seattle. So he's got both home teams. Or I'm sorry, the Bills are on the road against the Dolphins. The Seahawks are at home against the Cardinals. But regardless, he's got the team favored covering. So those are Adam Vingan's individual picks.
D-Mace?
all right. I am going. My first pick is Diego. Since I'm saying they will score over 27, Diego will account for at least 3 touchdowns, running or passing.
I
He
like
account
that.
for
I
it.
like that.
The second one is Baltimore is favored by 4.5. I think they're going to cover.
I like that pick even more.
Who do they play?
Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
They will cover.
All right, so Willie's picks is he says Iowa plus 6.5 versus Oregon. I
like
really,
that pick.
I really
like
like
that
it
pick. I
'cause
do.
Iowa's a good team. They're a
Yes.
sneaky, really good team, and
Yeah.
Oregon's been struggling. It feels like.
I don't think they win, but I
Mhm.
think they cover. for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. The 6.5 is the cover is a good cover. For me.
Yeah.
Now he also said this is actually a crazy pick. He said Ohio State plus 29.5 at Purdue.
Ooh.
Now again, like it's crazy just because they to give up that many points. I mean, again, it's Iowa. I mean, not it's Iowa. It's Purdue. So I mean,
Mhm.
that could happen, but it's a crazy line. Now for me, boys and girls, if you're listening to this, I love LSU. I'm an LSU fan, and they play Alabama this week. And give me LSU, baby.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to stand up on
No.
the chair like Pat McAfee.
Listen. I can't do that. Not with this foundation over
Yeah, that's
here. And then
we are upstairs.
we are. And I'm also going to go with a Ravens pick. I think give me Lamar 3 touchdown passes.
Oh.
Passes.
3 touchdowns. He's done it before. He's had like big
Mm.
games like that before. I think he can do it again. I like his chances. I think this Minnesota defense isn't as aggressive as other defenses that they've played, and I think he's Lamarvelous for a reason.
Lamarvelous. Oh, Lord. Is that
There
a
we go.
thing? People
I don't
say
know.
that.
I know.
I
I
don't
say
know
I
if
say it
it-
all the time.
I have
haven't
never
heard that.
You've never heard?
I've never heard it. Lamarvelous.
Lamarvelous.
It
I
must
like
be
it though.
It's a great nickname, is it not? I mean, again,
We need to find one for Cam.
we really do.
Yeah, so Cam start
Cam
playing
Amazing.
well.
I don't know.
Yeah, Cam Amazing. There we go. When he start playing amazing, we can call him Cam Amazing.
Yeah, we got
Here's the magician, Cam Amazing.
when that gets printed on shirts, I want a cut.
Oh, no doubt. There you go.
That'll do it for us here today on the program.
Did you give Adams picks?
I did.
Okay, cool. There we go.
Yeah. This has been
Everyone's
fun.
picks has been.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting old, man. That's all.
D-Man, this has been fun. I'd say let's do this again, but I hope that the other two come back healthy and stronger than ever, and you guys unite in the power of friendship.
Listen, Connor. I appreciate you, steering this ship, guiding it, and then let me take control of it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I am honored. Honestly, truly, you're young, but you're really, really good at what you're doing.
Well, I
So
appreciate
keep
it.
that up, man. And it was a joy to, share the airwaves with you today. So, but outside of that, people, as I say every day, be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, wonderful weekend. This weather is out here. Be careful, people. I love you. The team love you, even though they're not here. And Connor loves you. Be safe, be love, peace. You know what time it is. You hear that song. Don't you forget about us. Peace.